Dr. Fred Okengo Matiang'i, members of parliament here present from both houses, former members, colleagues from political parties, friends from academia, friends of friends, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. At this point, I have been requested to adjust the program kidogo ndio tusikie ndugu zetu yale ambayo wangetaka kutuambia jioni ya leo. I'm quite alive to the fact that today being a Friday, I'm not trying to confirm anything that Honorable Amin Abdallah said. And because in our midst we have David Murathe, if I make reference to Uji, people might think that that's where we are hurrying to. But let me begin by thanking each and every one of you for finding time this Friday evening to come and share with me the glory of this momentous occasion of the launch of my memoir titled The Fight for Wonder. Thank you very much. There's something that they say, I'm sure the Honorable Senator Kembi Gitura might, or Jamle Kamau, or indeed even Murathe. These are people from Muranga, and there's a reason I'm mentioning them, because there's something about Muranga. They say you're not able to shave yourself somewhere here. There's something they say. Maybe when one of them gets a chance to speak, they will tell us what that is. But I can see the Honorable Jane Kihara wants to interpret it immediately. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite my friends to come and say a few words, and then as we move on, then we can do the launch and make merry and continue socializing and getting to know one another better. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite my good friend, Dr. Fred Okengo Matiang'i, to the floor.
Your Excellency, Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Your Excellency, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, my brother and my friend Eugene Wamalwa, Mr. Speaker, and all of you wonderful people present here today. For clarity, the Honorable David Murathe, who was being talked about, is my colleague member of Jubilee, the Vice Chairman of Jubilee. Kembi Gitura is also here, and Torome and Wanja Maina. These are now recently, for the business of this red shirt I'm wearing, some of my compatriots. And thank you all of you for being here. Because we are not going to make long speeches, I want to start first of all by congratulating Honorable Muturi for doing this book. In the 90s, I'm actually looking forward to reading it. In the 90s, in the mid-90s, I served on a small committee with Professor Henry Ndangasi and the others in designing at the graduate school at the University of Nairobi a course that we call the African Autobiography. Because for those of you who may be students of literature and linguistics, the autobiographic genre became new to Africa, probably late 60s and early 70s, because autobiography was mainly a predominant genre for Westerners in terms of writing. There are many theories you could go into on that particular basis, whether or not Africans didn't have stories to write or Africans didn't have to write about their lives and so on and so forth. But it's gratifying to see that now in Kenya, the genre has not only taken root, but it's very vibrant and present. And we are looking forward to reading what J.B. Muturi has done. But most importantly, I spent about 9 years working on legislative strengthening. And this is where I interacted actively with J.B. Muturi when I ran the Kenya Parliamentary Strengthening Program as, first of all, the Deputy Director, then Country Director for Sunni, and then later on the Regional Director for East and Southern Africa. We served together a little bit. I was reminding JB now on the ALB project, the African Legislatures project, when we did an analysis and put together data on Africa's 48 legislatures. What makes parliaments work, what makes parliaments tick, the characters and the types of parliaments and so on. JB has always been a very resourceful person. In fact, I could be forgiven to say that on the African continent, when you look at experiential exposure and education on legislative work and institutional development in legislation, JB could be one of the about 5 or 10 who have built that body of knowledge and experience in legislative practice that you could actually consult, very much like the big speakers we consult from the Commonwealth Parliament, like the Lok Sabha in India and Australia and so on. I remember many things. I was asking Eugene what I should reveal and what I shouldn't reveal. Then Eugene kept reminding me some of those are too sensitive to reveal. But I remember how we had a lot of discussions with JB the first time we started implementing the new constitution on how the president should behave when he goes to parliament. Because the big debate exists whether or not when the president enters parliament, he should actually sit down in parliament, because the president is not a member of parliament. And if you look at the body of knowledge that exists, especially from the US Congress and the others, because the president is not a member of the assembly, he walks in, puts the report on the table, reads the speech and walks out without sitting down because he's not a member of parliament. Then we had a long evening with J.B. Muturi. And I was very fascinated by the authoritative basis on which he made his decisions. He pulled out all manner of authorities and so on. And as many of you who have been through this experience would attest, it was an intellectually fulfilling experience to see our own speaker getting into that space in a very authoritative manner and very exciting way. So here is my request to you, or my ask, JB. I'm going to, I've not read your book, so I'm going to read it now. And I hope you have delved into those issues like the ones I've said. When we have a presidential system of government in Kenya, the symbolism of whether or not the president should actually sit in parliament, whether it's a State of the Union or State of the Nation address. There are small nuances that a lot of people spend time writing on. If you look at the body of knowledge on legislative work across the world, there are small nuances that people dwell on, which are critical in terms of the formation of government and the character of government and how it moves forward. I ask you, therefore, to, beyond the autobiographical work that you have done, I would like to request you, Mr. Speaker, to now also help contribute to the intellectual body of knowledge on parliaments and what parliaments are supposed to do. Because you see, for those of you, my colleagues like Naituli, Kawanja, who are in the room and so on, recently, there's been a big argument in the academy on the actuality of representation for parliaments. Who do parliaments actually represent? Because this started from the theory of no taxation without representation. So you have these institutions, big bodies that gobble resources. They do a fantastic job, but who do they actually represent? When they enact, for example, a cybercrime law, like the one that was enacted, which you can see clearly, it's diametrically at variance with the existing mood in the country and the democratic context in which we are operating. Where does representation begin and where does it end? And then finally, the history of our parliament has not been very well studied and documented. I argue all the time, and all of you wonderful people here will relate to this, that this parliament that is in office now, and the honorable members of parliament who are here, please allow me to be very sincere. This is the first time parliament has not acted and actually invoked its absolute institutional mandate, which is bipartisan representation to deal with issues of the day. Because we have seen in previous parliaments, many of you who are here, Mheshimiwa Murathe, Mheshimiwa Kembe Gittura, and the others who were in parliament in the past, when there was a crisis in the country, and in fact, this is the contribution of parliament to the management of the country. Parliament usually closes ranks, they forget about parties, they come together and now do a parliamentary inquiry on an issue. When the Gen Z demonstrations happened in 2024, and what happened in parliament happened, quite frankly, from a government point of view, and as somebody who has been a cabinet minister, I thought that the executive branch of government was going to take advantage of an absolute opportunity available to them, ask Parliament to have a bipartisan inquiry on what had happened, so that then they can follow and provide even an opportunity through which expression and discussion would happen on the challenges of Gen Z and what was happening in the country. Now, we haven't seen that rigorous use of the institution of Parliament for the good of the country, where, for example, investigations like those would happen. And both parties in government and parties in the opposition would sit and deal with those kinds of issues. When children burn to ashes in a school here, 21 of them, you expect a complete and thorough bipartisan investigation by Parliament. No, none of us here, I don't know whether there's anybody even in this room, who knows how many graves are in Shakahola and how many people died there. No thorough bipartisan parliamentary investigation. This is why there is now a big debate on the actuality of representation for legislative institutions. Who do they actually represent in the long run? Are they acting in the good of the people, or are they acting in the good of the political environment of the day? But anyway, such is life. Thank you so much, my brothers. And JB, you have done all of us proud. Continue to do what you are doing. But I would like to, because you have now shown us the way, please, I know you have a lot to offer. You have much more to offer than this book. So I encourage you, Godspeed, as you give us the next phase of this, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matiang'i. And let me take this opportunity to recognize one of my very good friends, many good friends who arrived when Dr. Matiang'i was on his feet. And this is none other than somebody I worked with in Parliament for many years, Mr. Michael Rotich Sialai, the immediate former clerk before Njoroge took over. Njoroge took over from him. And actually, after he left Parliament, he added another title. He's ambassador, Balozi. Karibu sana Balozi Sialai. Thank you very much, Fred. It's very enlightening to listen to people who have had that exposure of working with parliaments. And indeed, it's a very interesting discourse that you've alluded to. And I think when we were doing the new constitution, I think one of the things that, somehow we felt was going to capture some of these issues is, for instance, the heavy reliance and insistence in providing for public participation in our constitution. In fact, for Parliament, it is mandatory. They are required under Article 118 to do public participation whenever considering any bill, any motion, or any other business before the House of Parliament. And of course, it is already provided for in the overarching provision in Article 10. Maybe debate And I think this is a very good challenge that has been thrown, because when we're doing the constitution, particularly you look at what you provided for in Article 95, Clause 1, about the National Assembly. You say the National Assembly represents the people of the constituencies and other special interests. Those of you who have the Constitution can check. That is Clause 1 of Article 95. I'm not putting in. I'm not adding anything, not even a comma. But good debate. That's why I think on an occasion like this one, it's good to have people to come and also enlighten us on some of these things that we will need to consider. I'm aware, I'm sorry that most of the members of parliament are absent, and gotten an apology from both the speaker and the clerk that they are having what is called the Speakers Roundtable meeting with KEPSA, Kenya Private Sector Alliance, in Mombasa. But some are saying if they could sneak out, they could fly back to Nairobi. Those kind of meetings, members of parliament cannot discuss in Nairobi because they can't get anything. Anyway, yeah, they don't like. Like I say, my good friend Honorable Mule is disputing, but it is the truth. Members of parliament will not get the staff properly if you hold meetings like those ones in Nairobi. They prefer either in Mombasa, mainly Mombasa, or Naivasha. The environment there is usually conducive for members of parliament. So that's why many of them are not here. And an apology had been given on their behalf by the clerk and the speaker. Many of my colleagues, judges particularly, obviously not able to attend because we might say some few things here which might make them shiver. But they are with us in spirit. Many of them are very good friends, people we work together. In the book, there's a lot of reference to my class of 81. So many of them have sent me messages. Tuko nao pamoja. Na wengine, they send their apologies through Amina. I think they feigned sickness, some of them. But we will deal with that at another appropriate time. With that, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite my good brother, the very eloquent former Minister for Defense, the Honorable Eugene Ludovic Wamalwa.
JB insists on pronouncing all my three names. I don't know why he insists on Ludovic. But this is your night, JB. It's not our night. I think...
representing these commitments that you have made to the entire world, and then suddenly you start hearing certain things happening, you really get disturbed. Thank you very much for reminding us about that incident. I'm sure many of you may be waiting to listen, to hear the truthful man. Sindio? Tunataka kusikia the truthful man. Because I want to confirm here. Because some people have said it, huko kwa mitandao, some people who have been employed by Kasongo. Oh, this guy, what he says, what? I want to confirm. Actually, he would be the only person as cabinet secretaries and members of cabinet would run to because as deputy president, he chairs all cabinet here, but it is to confirm, because I've had some people ask him questions, even on interview. Oh, ulifanya nini? He opposed the finance bill when he was chairing the cabinet committee. And from the cabinet committee, he said he undertook that when we go to full cabinet, he is going to be the first one to tell the president this thing is bad. And that's exactly what he did. It's just to confirm, because sometimes people think, oh, it is the truth. And even those who are there, by the way, I extended the invitation for this launch to all the sitting cabinet secretaries. I'm sure some of them, whom I've named in the book, when you read, you'll see. Some of them, of course, in fact, some are in Embu. They are in my village, Lene, today. But the shocking thing, Eugene, was they finished, and we have also told people, since what you are being given is actually your own money, which is being siphoned out, and actually, as the EG has severally told Kenyans, itisha, wakija, itisha. Sasa what happened today, they went and gave the women only 200 shillings, and we had told the women it must be 1,000. So they say, no, you have a balance of 800, which they didn't give. And as a result, there was only one choir, one term. That was right in our village where Lenny and I come from. These are some of the things that sometimes when you listen to what is happening, I don't want to say much. Let me invite to the podium the truthful man, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the second Deputy President.
Asante sana. The man of the moment, AG Speaker Emeritus, the Honorable Justin Bidan Muturi, Your Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, and all dignitaries present. Mine is just to say congratulations to JB for the great book that he has put together, The Fight for Order. And JB, my brother, my kinsman, as a student of literature, let me confirm that is a great art of work. And in literature, you evaluate content and form. At the University of Nairobi in the 80s, there were two schools of thought on what defines a great work of art. One group led by the late Professor Chris Wanjara believed that a good work of art is content, what you say. Another group led by Professor Henry Dangasi believed that a good work of art is the form, how you say it. Reading this great book, I want to confirm that it is splendid in both content and form. You have told a good story and you have told it well. JB Muturia, my brother, is a great friend of mine. We have come from far. We were trying to make Uhuru Kenyatta president in the year 2002 together with Murathe. Those days I used to take Uji Murathe, I quit the club. I'm still told you are taking Uji in the layer. And we did not succeed. We proceeded until we made Uhuru Kenyatta president in 2013, and he became speaker. I joined him as a member of parliament in the 12th parliament, and we've been very close. Then we looked for government together, we were in the same cabinet. What JB has written here especially the latter part, is true. And in the cabinet we served under Githinji, JB and I were the only true, honest people. When I left, he was left as the only one who is honest. When he left, there's nobody in that cabinet who is truthful. The rest are flower girls and yes, sir. And this is a good story, and these stories must be told. I'll be telling mine, but not now. I'm too busy. I have some work to do. But I'll be doing a good work on the Ruto betrayal as we go on. It's good to tell this story because JB tried to bring order to government like he had brought in parliament. And JB was a good speaker. Despite the fact that he came from TNA, he never became a youth winger for Uhuru Kenyatta. JB and Kenneth Marede were two great speakers. It's unfortunate the speaker we have today is a youth winger. You find him in empowerment forums giving people maharagwe. And for that, JB, we salute you. You created order in parliament. You tried to create order in government and you got in trouble, like myself. That's why we are out with you in the trenches. Because you tried to create order. Let me confirm to the people of Kenya. He's being given documents by people he doesn't even know. Attorney General that it is right. And he stood his ground. He was trying to call government to order. I remember one day we were in Naivasha for a conference for cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries. William Ruto called me to his room again and abused me and my community because of JB Muturi. Hii mtu yako ya bere, puri. Ebu muite hapo mwambie hiyo vitu nimwambie afanye. And he should not tell me anything. I'm the president. I am not a lawyer, but I'm the president. What I want must be done in this country. Can you look for him and you get back here uniambie? So nikatafuta JB, nikaita yeye kwa room yangu. JB, again wewe, you have robbed my boss the wrong way. What's the problem? JB said, he is asking me to sign a deal to buy land with the funds from the Settlement Trust Fund, SFT, for putting up an industrial park. This fund, by law, you can only buy land to settle squatters, to settle Kenyans who are landless. You cannot use it to buy land for any other purpose. I cannot do it as Attorney General. Please tell him I will not do it. So I went back to him, I said, it cannot be done. And he has explained to me, and I agree 100%. So when JB Muturi says we need to call the country to order, he has lived those words. And he was my soulmate in cabinet. Because he was only the truthful person who is fearless. One day, when they are in cabinet committees, the president had tasked his tribesmen there in cabinet to keep him informed on the deliberations in cabinet committee by text. So if the direction a debate is taking is not going his way, especially in issues he is conflicted, he would send you a text and tell you how to take the conversation. So JB looked for me and we agreed what to do. Himself and myself, we will leave our phones away so Ruto cannot reach us. By the time he has been told what he wanted is not going the right way, to a petition. And he has told you, I would say, I rose finance bill, everybody. Oh, Mkubwa Mzuri, I said, boss, this thing cannot be accepted by the people of Kenya and we'll have an egg on our face. Kenyans will not take this finance bill. He took me to task. I said, no. I told the Secretary to Cabinet, Massive AJAABU, put it on record for posterity. I have said, no, it will not work. So when it did not work, we went to Cabinet. I wanted to revisit the matter, Kakata. I said, boss, can we go back to what I had said? After the agencies brought a problem. The worst, of course, is when JB's child was abducted by the National Intelligence Service. And he called me, William Ruto was out of town, and said, Deputy President, my son has been abducted. I'm talking to everybody, they are taking me in circles. This is not acceptable. And for your information, if your child is missing and is suspected to be in the hands of the police or security agencies, you go to court and file what you call a habeas corpus, compelling the Attorney General to produce the person, dead or alive. So JB Muturi asked me, as Justin Muturi, if I file a habeas corpus against the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, whom will it be served upon? So I called Kindiki, Mr. Yesa, he took me in circles. He was in Interior. I could see he's lying. He knows, but pretending he doesn't know. I called Nurdin Haji, he took me in circles. I called Mohammed Amin, Director of CID, he took me in circles. I called Japheth Kome, he was the IG, he was talking to me in Kemeru. And they were all taking me in circles. And I called William Ruto, he was out of town. I said, Mr. President, Your Excellency, we have a problem in our hands. The son of your Attorney General has been abducted. He sits in the National Security Council. He is here with me asking why anybody would abduct his son. And he sits in the National Security Council. He is a principal legal advisor to the government. If anybody had a problem with his son, it's just asking AG, can your son turn up here? I said, this is not right. Wewe Rigiji, wacha fitina bana. Wewe umenisumbua. Kila siku unanipigia simu fitina. Abducted by who? In which country? Wewe bana usinisumbue. Usilete mimi fitina. He's put on the phone. So I told JB, go and face him. He knows where your son is. I've listened to him, I know him. And JB took my advice and I alerted him. I told him I will alert you when he arrives. The minute I was told he is 10 minutes away, the choppers were alerting, I said, be at the gate. He went and faced him head on as a man. And JB Pongezi, that's the way to be a man. And within 2 hours, his son was at home. This is what we need for this country. Most people are cowards. JB, you didn't want to waste time inviting CSs. They cannot come here. They are cowards. They don't want to be associated with you because of what you say and what you speak. Let me say finally, JB is a good man. He was my boss in Parliament as Speaker. I was a first-time MP. 5 years down the line, I became his boss as Deputy President. He respected me in my new position. All the other MPs we came with from Parliament had nothing but disrespect and distaste for my new position. But this man here said, God has given me this opportunity, we must respect authority. So we developed a very tight relationship. And I had to pay him back one day in kind. And it's good I tell you. After the Gen Z protests, the cabinet was dissolved. And William Ruto was struggling on what to do, bring Raila and his people in, this, that, and we let him do what he wanted to do without too much argument. And he announced the first batch, and out of the positions I had negotiated for my counties where I come from, he did not appoint anybody from Embu. And I asked him why. He said, let's wait kidogo. So, in the next appointment, the final one, he called me and Musalia so that we flank him to announce the last batch of cabinet. And he was in a hurry, let's go. I said, hey, what do you mean we go? How? How do we flank you to announce what we don't know? No, wewe Rigiji, wacha maneno mingi. Musalia, let's go. I said, no, I can't. If we are flanking you to make the announcements, we must be part of what you're announcing as the usual practice. I cannot flank you to announce cabinet when I don't know who you're announcing. I cannot hear it for the first time with the rest of Kenyans and the press. So he was very angry. Then he rushed to his office. Oh, Musalia, my God. He was shaking like a leaf. Oh, Mwami, how can we challenge the president? How? Please, this is not right. I say, Musalia, my friend, do you know this announcement, your name could be missing in that paper? The only person who is safe is myself because I'm elected. So mimi hata nakusaidia. So he went and brought the list and threw it at me. I looked at it and found that JB had been dropped from Embu and he had put somebody else. And then I asked him, who is this? I don't know him. You have not consulted me. We had an agreement. Who is this? Oh, is somebody says Barida brought. I said, no, I cannot be party to that decision. Because the other time, you appointed somebody from Meru. I did not argue with you. The people of Meru were asking me, who is this? I don't know. Where is this home? I have no idea. This person I don't know. So if that is your choice, go ahead and announce. I cannot accompany you to make that announcement. He said, wewe Rigathi. Hii ukabila yako itakufikisha wapi? I said, Mr. President, I am not party to that decision. How do I accompany you to announce something I'm not part of? And the people of Embu will be asking me, who is this? But if I'm not there, just go ahead and announce. He kept quiet like 3 minutes. He said, he threw a pen at me. He said, toa hiyo mtu weka hiyo JB yako hapo. This JB, you are crazy about this JB. I said, but Mr. President, this is a good man. And I chair the cabinet committee. This is a solid minister. All the other people you are putting and you have returned, most of them are useless. I sit there and I have listened to this man. And he means well for this country. So why do you want to remove him? What is it that he has done? So he said, chukua. Mimi nikachukua kalamu, nikafuta hiyo mtu na kalamu ya wino, nikaweka Honorable JB Muturi. Nikamrudishia. But then I told him, because I know you, if we go there and you announce the other name because I think that is what you want to do, I'll walk away when the press is live. So that's how JB Muturi got his job back. And after that, I was thrown away and he followed me. I'm sorry I was not there to defend you another time. So I want to say, as we celebrate JB, this country is blessed with a great leader, a steadfast man, a great man. And JB Muturi, as you have been told to put order into this table. If the formula of nominating a single presidential candidate favors me, and I'm elected as president, you will play a very important role in my government. And for having been kind to me, when you asked me to step down my candidate with Senator Lene Kivuti, our senior elder, you know, in our community, we have seniority of elders. If Lene Kivuti summons me, I'm a junior elder in my community, and gives direction, I just have to honor. So when Lene Kivuti and JB Muturi summoned me and said, as better people, we have decided that you step down your candidate in favor of Newton Karis, I agreed with the two senior elders from our community because that is the way things should be run. So JB Muturi, please take us to Bere with Senator Kivuti and call the people of Bere North to order. Because Kasongo has put 300 million shillings so far in that by-election. Senator Lene Kivuti, you must lead us there to rubbish that money in 6 hours. And in Bere North is where William Ruto must be taught how to put communities to order. And JB Muturi, mimi nakutakia mema. I'm sorry
Eugene Wamalwa, my brother Dr. Fred Matiang'i, members of parliament here present, both current and former, friends, government officials that may be present, colleagues, friends of friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to have you all here today for the launch of my book, The Fight for Honor. It's a good thing to have friends among the guests here to hear me speak and to share in the celebration of this milestone. Let me say, I'm happy I've told my story as candidly as I could. I hope you will enjoy reading it and that it will inspire you to help me in my mission of building honest institutions in Kenya. Thank you for making the time. And as I said earlier, this being a Friday, I'm sure you'd rather be somewhere else, probably partaking of tea or uji or many other broths. As my good friend, the former president, who has written the foreword in this book, these days often refers to some of the beverages that people take on Friday evenings. This launch is also a milestone for political leadership and political memory making in Kenya. I hope more of us are here, and even those who are not will get the time to pen your memoirs and autobiographies to give the next generation an intellectual grounding on how to do things and how not to do things. I appreciate each and every one of you who has bought, and also somebody I work with at the People's Restorative Justice Commission, Professor Friend Ogola. He just arrived from the US where he took his presidential campaigns. Karibu sana, Professor. Thank you. I know you just arrived this afternoon. Also, let me recognize the presence of Judy Sejeni, Ambassador, Wakili Eunice Lumalas. And I hope I've been able to recognize each and every other. But anyhow, my good friend Olekenta is here. Wacha tusikize our chief guest, His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo wa Musyoka is our chief guest at this launch. You will make the final remarks.
Thank you. Thank you. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, my brothers, Rigathi, the second Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, my friend Eugene Wamalwa, the German name I skip purposely, our brother Fred Matiang'i, and all of you distinguished friends. You see now, Fred, you introduced some people you came with, or they brought themselves from Jubilee. And because you did that, I received a request, now recognize Patriotic Front leaders who are here. And I think it is inappropriate because some of them have already been recognized by the man of the moment, But be that as it may, I think I saw some people are with me in Kisumu, in Jaramogi something, right? Kago Jaramogi. I saw Mukunji there with me and Cicely, and even those ambassadors, are they Sijeni, and I think Lumalas was there. Ndegwa Njiru was there. Did I see Ndegwa Njiru? He was there. Ben Momanyi, I saw you. Ben Momanyi was there. Mwana Mule. Who else am I forgetting? Please just stand so I can recognize you. So you don't take Senator Manzo, you are not there. But he should have been there. I think he thought he should have been there, and others. So I'm not able to see who is right at the back. Or is it Wakili Boniface? No. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to do a very simple thing, and that is to launch this book. I asked myself, JB, why did you make me the chief guest? Is it because you thought I should buy very many books tonight and to give out there? Or is it because I may have written an autobiography for myself, and the title of which is Against All Odds and which is due for revision? Or is it because I'm older than you? I think it's because of the latter. That I realize this guy is 3 years younger than me, and he's from my neighborhood. I don't know why Brother Rigathi claims Muturi for his own kinsmanship. Because if you listen to JB speak Kikamba, he speaks without an accent. Even the way he pronounced my name before he came here, that's not the normal way you pronounce my name, because he is fluent. And then his home is near Ishara. From Kanyambora, where Lenny and him come from, to Sekuru is actually just less than maybe 30 kilometers. Now from there to Rigaji's place is very far. So we share in, but I heard Rigathi make some very interesting distinction, that him is a brother and I'm a cousin. That imagine Lenny and JB is brothers, but I am Rigaji's cousin. But we all felt that anybody who is feeling the weight of misrule, over taxation, is actually a cousin. I think that is why JB asked me to come and really nail it for him. JB, you're a very frank person. And allow me to tell you that Uhuru Kenyatta should have been here. But as you asked me to mention that he will not make it, I remember when we are reviewing the possibility of coming tonight, you told me you suspect if Uhuru Kenyatta had read the book completely, he may not have signed the foreword. But I think he did. And he makes some wonderful remarks about who you are. When I saw Fred Matiang'i, I asked him, have you read the book? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually now marketing this book for you. My brother, my younger brother, JB, as we call you. Because out there, we are here launching a book written by a stickler, not only for the rule of law, but one who believes in the separation of powers. He has served in both the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. One of our foremost statesmen, I dare say without any hesitation, and one who is also fearless. Even as we sat there with JB, I told him, do you remember this friend who is running out of the country, is all over the place, and is trying to tell JB and I to mention that somebody at the very high level is already received a $10 million bribe to bring in rice from Pakistan or wherever. That is J.B. Muturi. And so I feel truly honored to associate myself with you and also a party leader of Democratic Party. The founding Kiongozi, as you all know, was a gentleman I was privileged to serve under as his vice president. Not that he appointed me, but I negotiated. No, I learned a lesson in life. And it's somebody, when we went, a lot of you may not know, I was also deputy speaker one time, between the years 1989 to 1992. And then I went for an IPU conference, somewhere I think in Togo. And we wanted the late Joseph Muliro. How many of you remember Joseph Muliro? He was assistant minister one time for foreign affairs. And we wanted him to join the 9-member committee of parliamentarians from all over the world dealing with matters to do with climate change. And so we had some formidable challenges from that region, some of them claiming authority of their speakers. And I coined a phrase. I said, in business, you don't get what you deserve. That is generally said. You get what you negotiate. So I learned that and applied it with President Kibaki. We negotiated by being 10th vice president. But that is part of the history. But I also learned another useful tactic. And I think that is what this Kenya Kwanza administration has been applying. And that was that in order to get Joe Muliro appointed as a member of the IPU Committee of Parliamentarians on Climate Change, we realized that our competitors had no time for us, and so they didn't care about the qualities, the qualifications of Joe Muliro. So I said, as the leader of delegation, because as deputy speaker, we'll apply the following formulation. If you cannot really dazzle them with brilliance, then baffle them with bullshit. There's a lot of bullshitting around. And because that is what really is holding this country at ransom. And it's all written and elaborated under this wonderful, wonderful work of art, as Rigathi put it. First of all, JB is summoned by J. Muturi. Uhuru wants a meeting of the Speaker of the National Assembly, the 11th edition, and calls him and say, JB, can you come to State House tomorrow? He didn't say, he said, what time is the president? And then he said, you contact Jay, you'll arrange the logistics and the time. So JB shows up, the Speaker of the National Assembly. And whom does he find? He finds Fred Matiang'i, Interior. And he also finds Kibicho, Karanja Kibicho, the PS. It's all there, Fred. That's why I said, if you read it, you have to really know that we are dealing with a very honest person in the tradition of the truthful man. And he says it there. He says he told President Uhuru Kenyatta, you cannot do this. I am the Speaker of Parliament. There is a principle of separation of powers. And he called Kibicho and Fred some very nice names there, because he was angry with what he thought was an aggression on the principle of separation of powers. He does the same, and of course others also at the time in the book, if you read, where, for example, you see, we are making him look like a wonderful person, but the human being in JB had to face the role of Mr. Njeru. Now, in that we share. When I was in Meru School in Form 5 and 6, our headmaster was Mr. Njeru, who once became the director of education. And one time and I think that's why I sharpened my negotiation skills at Form 6, because we went on strike. Mr. Njeru said, the Form 6, in all one accord, have decided to fail. We actually turned out that time in Mary School, the class of 1973, as number 4 in the country, because we were refusing to eat stuff we are calling fufu. But we had given Mr. Njeru a nickname of Mr. Amin. We call him Mid Amin because the way he used to walk, and he was, students always deal with their head teachers. Now, Mr. JB's Njeru accused him of teasing girls and pinching them. I don't know, JB, in your years at the university or before you went to university, if that was your characteristic. These days it can constitute a very serious offense for which men actually get impeached, not in Kenya, in other places of the world. So he lays it bare, including the role he had with his Mbere clansman who spoke here, Lenny Kivuti. Serious rivalry at their level. One region or whatever, he had actually also changed his name. Read that book. It's an amazing work of art. But he actually then says there, I will not sign it. That was JB. It is out there. And they say, release my son. We have seen the story of Leslie. So JB, when you write your next book, and I want to agree with my brother Rigathi, let us go through this season, because it's a very, very important season, pregnant with all types of expectation. And when, God willing, we get to Canaan, you will then have time to read to write a wonderful thing. I want to read a book written by Rigathi, because he has written a very nice chapter already. He has seen it all. He paid his brother in kind. I don't know how many deputy presidents world over would be able to stand up and get a president to go down when he's going to announce the names. And he actually gets them. That is the art of negotiation and also transparency. If indeed we are a government or a country that believes in the rule of law and democracy, then we have to be like Rigathi. I just come from Luo Nyanza. And please don't ask me where I got the 100 cows from. That's my own secret. Some think I keep a lot of cows. It is true. In addition to growing green grams, we call them dengu, we also keep some cows. And we went out there, and I forgot to salute the champion of devolution, certainly a champion of democracy, the late Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. I just failed to salute because I was wearing Mukunji, remember, I was looking like you today. I really miss out just to salute him and to say the struggle continues, la luta continua. I wrote that in my remarks and bidding him farewell. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a country you all love. And this is a country we know at a critical time like this, if we buckle, if we falter, then it is like what Shakespeare said, the rest of the voyage is really taken. If we don't take this high tide, then the rest of our lives will be lived in mystery. And the lives of Kenyans will not be exactly what JB Muturi would have wanted. By laying things bare, telling it as it is, and I have read also as a senior counsel, I can tell you none of that stuff is actionable. Nobody will sue you, because I think you took that into account. But you also put it openly. So I'm so honored to be able to launch this book. And the fight, not just for democracy, the fight for order in our country. And of course, if you know, in the tradition of the British speakership, I usually like to see there's a speaker who was presiding of, I think, impeachment of one of those prime ministers. And I said, as many as of that opinion say aye, aye. As many as the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it, the ayes have it. Unlock. Unlock is a very interesting situation. Kembe, my classmate, also remember, he was a deputy speaker in the Senate. That order for our country is really what is critical at this time. And I want to urge of all of us as we read this book to unlock our country, to realize that we cannot live in a country that believes in abducting his own children. And I think in one, he quotes that proverb, JB, in one of quoting that African proverb, when an hyena wants to eat his children, the hyena looks at them and says, "You smell like a goat." We must do whatever it takes. We do not have another time or anything to squander. We have a country literally to liberate and to live the spirit of the young Kenyans who have become a phenomenon world over. Who would have imagined that the very suave Tanzanians, suave, Watanzania wanasema, badala one of them is said to have come through Isabanian border up to Nakuru, akasema, and I must conclude, akasema kwa hoteli moja pale owned by a cousin ya Rigathi, akasema naomba chai. Akamwangalia, akasema, kampatia kikombe kimoja na siagi, mkate wa siagi. Tanzania suave, kapatiwa. Kamaliza, Mtanzania alikuwa na njaa kidogo, akasema, naomba uniongezee. That hotel na kama, sikiza bwana, hapa kuna cha bure. Hapa kuomba, uombaji ni kula hapa na kulipa. Hakuna cha kuomba hapa. The suave Tanzanians thinking the Kenyan Gen Zs were from Mars. And you see, they even now, unfortunately, arrest Kenyans who are working ordinarily kwa mahoteli, and they think sasa hawa, they are part of, these are the people who have awakened. The Gen Zs everywhere have woken up because they are demanding transparency. Just like JB Muturi has said it, put it so clearly, that they, not just in Tanzania, in Madagascar. Did you not see Sheikh Hasina, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, escape by helicopter to India? Because the Kenyan Gen Zs had said, I've actually said that example, of course, recently in Nepal and other places. We are living in very interesting times. Times that if we don't catch up with the aspirations of the young people who are demanding change and demanding it immediately, demanding transparency in leadership, demanding good order, the fight for order. Maybe, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask us to grasp, to take hold of this moment and change our country for good forever. Thank you so much, JB. Congratulations. If I say the fight for order, I will add Joey. Yeah, I know buffaloes. I'm a buffalo soldier. I hope if I've annoyed you, I do not ask for your forgiveness. In the spirit of JB. Asanteni sana. So we're happy to launch this book. And please read it. And if you find it affects you, that is JB for you. So we're happy to have you. Can I now move? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for His Excellency, the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. Thank you so much. Let me invite you to the booth where we're going to be launching the book officially. May I also invite all the excellencies to come.